Hello everyone, welcome back to the Daily Knitter Knitting Podcast. My name is Tiffany. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 3 of my finished objects, talk about one object that I have on my needles, and some future plans. My first finished object is my Colette Pullover by Sari Nordlund. Here she is. I knit the size 2, and the yarn that I used is Sanisgarn Line in Rose Lavender. I feel like the camera is picking up color today pretty true to what it looks like in real life. And this color in real life is really an in-between of a rose and a lavender color. It's a color that I don't usually wear that often, but when I saw it in store, I just thought it looked pretty and enough outside my comfort zone, but kind of a muted color, which I wear a lot of muted colors. So I thought this could be like a little step outside my comfort zone. And I just love the color of this yarn with this pattern. The needles that I used were 4.5mm needles for the main body and 4mm needles for all the ribbing. My gauge ended up being on pattern. I did do a gauge swatch because I was a little unsure of how the Line yarn would look in this cabled pattern, but I really loved the way the swatch turned out. So I was very confident going in that I would be able to execute my vision for this pullover, and I did achieve the 19 stitches in the pattern for the gauge. Now, funnily enough, this happens to me a lot, and I really truly don't know what the cause is. If you can illuminate me in the comments, please do. But just like I said, this is my measured gauge swatch after completely washing and blocking this garment, which I also did with my little swatch, and it is still at 19 stitches, but my overall garment size is a decent amount smaller than the size 2 in the pattern. The size 2 in the pattern says that you should be getting a circumference of 109 centimeters for the chest, and I am getting 92. I don't know if I'm just measuring wrong, but the chest to me means like right under the armpit is where you should be measuring, which is what I'm measuring. And somehow I'm only getting 92 centimeters, and I'm being pretty generous. Because essentially, I mean, what I'm doing is I'm just measuring half and multiplying it by 2, because that kind of makes sense, and then give or take 1 or 2 centimeters, you know, but I don't know if that's the issue. I'm measuring weird, and I'm measuring it flat when I should be measuring it when it's on a mannequin or something. I don't know, so I just don't understand how it is that my gauge is correct, but my overall garment size is so off. Like, I feel like 92 centimeters to 109, that's like a pretty big difference. It's fine. The sweater still fits me fine, but I kind of do wish it was just slightly bigger, maybe closer to like 105 centimeters around the bust to give it more of an oversized look, but I'm just baffled, okay? So if you have this issue, or maybe I'm just measuring weird or what, please let me know, because it's making me frustrated, because one of my promises this year was I was going to gauge swatch before every project, especially if it was a yarn that I'd never worked with before, and I have been keeping to that, but every single garment I have knit, I hit gauge in my swatch, and I'm hitting gauge in the actual fabric of the finished object, yet my finished object's measurements are off. Someone please let me know if I'm just crazy, or if that's just a thing that happens in the knitting world and no one talks about it. I don't know. Anyway, sorry to go off on a tangent, but I just had to mention that in this section. So for construction, it's constructed the way a lot of drop shoulder items are constructed, but you essentially cast on the back stitches, you knit in the pattern with increases, and then you pick up for the shoulders. In this case, I really like that where you pick up is right after the eyelet detail. So your cables, you don't have to be super precise with if your cables are perfectly matching, which if you were doing an all over cabled sweater, you would have to do that. But I like that the pickup line is at the eyelets. And then you pick up for each shoulder, knit the front panel, then you join in the round and knit the rest of the body. The sleeves are picked up in the round as well, and all of the finishings are 1 by 1 rib with a sewn bind off. The only modification I made, 2 modifications. One is for the body and for the sleeve bind off, I just do a knit bind off. That's just my preference. For me, I don't need the sleeve or the body to be particularly stretchy because, you know, they fit fine over my head and on my arms and everything. So I just, the sewn bind off is just so finicky. I just don't prefer it. So I'm fine with the look of a knit bind off. I think it actually looks really neat. So that's the only modification I made for bind off. And then for the sleeves, I decreased, so I basically didn't do the last few rounds of decreases, so my arms have 8 more stitches left when I got to the ribbing. And that is because Sari Nordland is notorious for having very, very tight sleeves on a lot of her patterns. I've knit this and the book club cardigan, or book club pullover. The book club pullover, I didn't notice that on. I actually think I followed the sleeve exactly and it was fine. So, but I just know that this is the case for a lot of her patterns. So whenever I do one of her patterns, I'm just extra attentive of how many stitches are on the sleeves, and I just don't want it to be too tight. That being said, even with 8 extra stitches on my sleeves than called for, this is a pretty tight sleeve, tighter than I would have liked if I could redo the sleeves, which I'm not going to because I still like the way it looks and it doesn't bother me enough. But keep that in mind that even with 8 more stitches, I still feel like the sleeves are a little tight. So if you are doing that, just keep an eye on that. And I suppose like a modification technically for this pattern would be the yarn that I chose, because I did choose a linen and cotton blend yarn versus what is intended, which is a wool and mohair blend, I believe. And the reason for that is I just envisioned this pattern to be my summer beach pullover, you know, on those summer evenings when you're by the beach and the wind picks up a little bit, so you're a little chilly, but it's still summer, so it's still more warm than cold, and you just want something to throw over either your bathing suit or your t-shirt or something like that. So that's kind of what I had in my mind for this, and the linen and cotton is exactly what I wanted to get that drape and that more summer cotton pullover throw over vibe is what I was going for. I think all the eyelets also accentuate that, because to me, eyelets just scream summer and warm weather. And it's nice because, again, I'm probably going to wear this over a tank top or a bathing suit, so I'm not too worried about the eyelets. But I did take a photo of this for Instagram with just a regular bra on underneath, and I think the eyelets weren't too gapey or anything, so I'm definitely still planning to wear this as a regular shirt even off the beach, but that is the intention with which I made this item. My next finished object is the Feels Right tee by Lily Kate France. I knit this in the size 3, and the yarn that I used is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the color Deep Petroleum Blue. The needles I used were 3.25 millimeters on the body and 2.75 millimeters for the finishing. And I did technically, same issue with the Colette Pullover, I hit gauge. I'm about 25 to 26 stitches. The pattern calls for 26 stitches, yet my chest is almost 9 centimeters off. So when I measured it, it's 92, but in the pattern, it's supposed to be 101. Again, I don't know why this is an issue again, so sorry to repeat myself, but let me know in the comments if it's just something I'm doing wrong. The way that this is constructed is a little different because it has more of a set-in shoulder, I want to say is the term. Let me know if that's wrong. But you cast on for the back, you raise the back with short rows, and then when you pick up for the shoulders, which I do here, I think I did a pretty good pickup, not too bad. You pick up for the shoulders there, you knit the front panel and then join in the round, and then the sleeves are picked up and then shaped with short rows. While I was knitting the sleeves, for some reason I thought my short rows were just looking a little crazy, and now once it's blocked, I think it's okay. I mean, there's like a tiny bit of gaping, but it's not too noticeable, especially with this color yarn. I feel like it's very forgiving. But yeah, I was a little worried pre-blocking that my sleeves would just look crazy, but thankfully I think they look pretty good. Now, I will say I'm a little disappointed with this shirt. I don't know what about it is bothering me. Maybe it's the neck is a little wide for my taste, but it's not quite wide enough so that it's a boat neck. But I'm gonna put a picture of the designer's photo here. I feel like when I knit this tee, I did want it to be closer to that baby tee feel, which is the vibe that I get from that photo. It does say in the pattern that the chest, it's meant to be 5 to 10 centimeters of positive ease. And I have an 85 centimeter bust. So at 92, that technically falls within that range. But on me, I just think it looks kind of big. I will say, there is waist shaping in the pattern, and it's meant to have that in the pattern, and I just omitted all of the waist shaping, and I ended up just knitting it straight, which could be contributing to that. But the chest is loose enough that it just, or maybe it's like the yoke just feels big and not quite that like baby tee look. And I think maybe the shoulders aren't quite small enough. I'm not really sure what about it is causing me to hesitate. I think it looks fine on. It might also be this color online. I thought this color was gonna be a little more closer to navy, but this is giving teal, and I hate the color teal. I really don't like the color teal. I don't know what I have against teal, but to me, maybe it's just this is reminding me too much of a teal color and not that like deep blue color. So I honestly am not sure. Maybe the waist shaping would have helped a little bit, but the way it feels big is up here. It's not even in the waist. So I really don't think the waist shaping would have helped much. Maybe I just needed to knit down a size, but again, I was picking the size based on my bust measurements, which I feel like I got. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what's off about it. A little unfortunate because this t-shirt did take me a long time to knit. I will also say I do not like doing short rows on sleeves because it's super finicky with magic loop. Like you really have to like maintain your stitches and do a lot of stitch management along your cord. And I feel very comfortable with magic loop, so I feel like it was like okay, but even then it was very finicky and it's hard on your hands. So I did not like that there were a lot of short rows for the sleeve cap. Maybe that also just kind of ruined the experience for me a little bit. But if none of those things bother you, then I would definitely go for this t-shirt, and I'm hoping that when you knit it, you get maybe a better silhouette. But for me, I don't know, it just didn't quite come out the way I wanted it to. I'm still gonna wear it because it's something that I made, and I love the pure silk fabric. I mean, look at that, like look at how drapey that is. It's so nice and cool for the summer. So I definitely still plan on wearing this, and I think it looks really cute tucked in. Yeah, it's just maybe the color wasn't quite right. But at that point, I already purchased it and I wasn't gonna return the yarn. Like I just was like, okay, I'll just deal with it, which is fine. So I just wanted to note that it's like not my favorite top that I've knit, but yeah. The last finished object I have is actually a homeware item. It is a kitchen towel. This is the Flowerfield hand towel by Pearl Soho. The pattern is available for free, so you can look it up on Ravelry and it takes you to their website, or you could probably just Google it and the Pearl Soho website will come up. And I did use Pearl Soho yarn. I actually knit this with the purpose of trying out some Pima cotton yarn. I've never knitted with 100% Pima cotton yarn before, and I have been very intrigued to knit garments in that yarn, but I just didn't really have any experience with it. I've heard that a lot of people say knitting with cotton is really hard on your hands, and I have a history of carpal tunnel syndrome. So I wanted to knit just a slightly smaller project to see how that felt before fully going in and doing like a larger project. So the yarn that you use is the Pearl Soho Cotton Chirp DK. They do have 100 gram balls. So the main color, which is the white, heirloom white, is a 100 gram ball, and then they have these minis, which are in sets of 4 that I believe are 25 to 50 grams. I think it's maybe 25 grams, yeah. And they're meant for specific projects like these, I guess like just color work type projects where you're doing that, which is kind of nice because that way it's like you just buy one 100-gram ball, one kit of the color that you want, and then you get a hand towel. There's not a lot of extra yarn or other things that you need to do. So for the minis, I got it in the shade Blue Jay, is like the quad name that it comes with. And you get this essentially faux color work pattern by doing clever knits and slips. Knits and slips essentially is how you do it, by connecting, and then you connect each yarn as you go, so it creates a sort of ombre effect. I like that you can kind of just choose what order you want the yarns to go in. I just picked this order, I don't know, randomly. I thought it looked pretty good. And it does have a built-in I-cord edge as you are knitting. It's done similarly to the Sophie scarf, if you've ever knit that. She has a built-in I-cord edge. It's done pretty much the same way. And the only modification I made was I did not do the I-cord loop, because they also have directions for you to do an I-cord loop, but all of my kitchen towels hang over our oven banner, like under oven bar, and I don't need the loop, so I just didn't bother with it. But it's nice to have if you wanted to hang it up on like a hook and kind of have it look like that, I guess. So yeah, I'm really proud of this. I'm glad that I knit something that will be in my kitchen and that I'll see every day and that I'll use. So I love that. However, I wish I chose a different color scheme. I am not liking this big block of navy. I feel like this navy color just is not, like, see, these three colors are so cute together. And the navy, honestly, for me, just ruins it because it's way too dark and it looks almost black. So it's like very jarring. It's like blue, blue, black, blue is what it's giving me. And I feel like I didn't really think about that when I was looking at the minis, because in the set, you know, it kind of looks cohesive and it's not knit up with the white like that. So I feel like I was just thinking like, oh, this color would be good. But once it was fully knit, it's just like, I just don't love it. It's fine, because again, this is just a kitchen towel, so, you know, it's not like it's a garment that I have to wear. But just keep that in mind. I don't know, if you're looking through the schemes, like the navy blue is really dark and it just looks black, even in real life, as it does on camera. Other than that, I pretty much hit gauge. It calls for a 23 stitch gauge. I was 22 stitches. Yet again, tell me why then I hit the exact width. Technically with a different stitch gauge. Like, again, make it make sense. Someone, please. I don't know. And the last thing I'll say about this is, for the built-in I-cord, I think I made mine a little too tight. So it's really curling a lot. This is post-blocking, by the way, and you can still see how much it curls in on itself. And I have a feeling it's because my I-cord edging is too tight. Yeah, because I feel like because it's tight, it's pulling it in. I don't know. I wish they had made a note of that in the pattern, because I feel like you're not really thinking about that when you knit in a wool fiber, because wool is much more forgiving and stretchy. So I feel like in blocking, wool just blocks out a little bit better. But with cotton, you kind of have to like keep that in mind. So I kind of wish they put that in the pattern to just be like, just extra caution, you know, make your I-cords loose. But I don't know, maybe it's just the way that I am knitting is extra I am a tight knitter, so I don't know, maybe it's just because of that it's rolling a little bit, but it's okay. I'm still really glad that I got to try out this yarn. The yarn is so soft and luxurious, and because I was able to knit this kitchen towel, I did end up purchasing some Pima cotton yarn, which I will share with you in a second. Currently, I only have one whip on my needles, and that is the Ivy blouse by Petite Knit. I am knitting the size medium, which according to her measurements and stuff is the one that should be for my bust size. And the yarn that I'm using is Cascade Ultra Pima in Dark Shadow. It's this very dark blue-gray color. Online, I will say I thought I was gonna get a little more closer to black, but this in real life, just like it is on camera, is reading pretty blue. Again, I bought the whole quantity of yarn. I wasn't going to go through doing a return and reordering. It's fine. I did kind of want a closer to black color, but I think it's okay. I think knit up in the fabric, maybe. I don't know, it looks less blue. Like, I still think this will look good on me. It'll just look like more of that faded black color, I'm hoping, and won't look too blue. But this is how much I've gotten through so far. I'm currently on the raglan increases for the body. For needles, I'm using 4mm needles, which I did a swatch and I hit gauge, but again, like we have learned in this video, who knows if that's even gonna make a difference, but it's a 23 stitch gauge pattern, and it's mostly stockinette. I actually really was drawn to this pattern because there is no ribbing and all of the bind offs are just knit bind offs, and even for the collar it just has this rolled hem, so it's just a cast on and it's completely done in the round, which I just thought was really unique. And I was not actually expecting that because in the photos I feel like it looks like a boat neck, or it just looks like the construction would have been more like do the back, pick up for shoulders, etc. But I was like delighted that it's actually fully in the round and there's no ribbing, which I just think is gonna look really cool with the Pima cotton yarn, because I think plant fibers are a little harder to do ribbing in, they're less forgiving, so it just looks a little messier. So the fact that this one doesn't have any, I think will look really good. And so far, I'm really loving the pattern. It's great. I love casting on like a raglan because it's just so easy. It's like mindless. You just have to go, 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 go. And I've been really, really enjoying this yarn. This yarn is softer even than the Pearl Soho one, even though they're both 100% Pima cotton. This one just has like a glossiness almost to, like a slipperiness to it. I don't know how they get it so that it's so soft, but I am so excited to cast this off and wear it because like it's just like luxurious. It feels so good on the skin, and I'm like pretty converted to like knitting with Pima cotton yarn. So that's my whip. And kind of moving into my future plans, I do plan on knitting a few more Pima cotton pieces for myself for the summer. So I think Hobbii, I've heard it pronounced both ways. Hobbii has a 100% Egyptian cotton yarn that is closer to a fingering / sport weight. I think the gauge is maybe like 26 to 27 stitches. And I'm already planning on casting on finding a t-shirt pattern. Maybe I'll do the Tombow tee because I really love the Tombow tee pattern, and I don't know, I think having it in a cotton would be really nice. So I might cast that on next, but I'm really excited. I feel like I've finally found like my go-to yarn, and I love knitting with wool, of course. Like I will always love Double Sunday and Sunday from Sandisgarn. They're just super soft, but nothing is gonna beat Pima cotton or Egyptian cotton for next to skin wearability. And where I'm at in my current knitting life, which is like, I wanna be very intentional with the pieces I'm casting on. I want to wear them often. Having a toddler running around with gross hands, you know, like it's just heartbreaking when I'm wearing my nice Double Sunday sweater and he gets like spaghetti all over it. Like I would die. So I feel like with Pima cotton, it's just a little more hard wearing, and I can machine wash it or at least hand wash it and not be kind of too worried about the stitches and having it fall apart. So I am very excited. I'm feeling really optimistic about future plans, and I'm just excited to share more of like cotton pieces that I've knit, because I feel like the yarn community and knitting community is just, everyone's like mostly knitting with wool and cashmere and all that kind of stuff, which is great. But as someone who is very sensitive to wool and can't wear a lot of wool next to skin, I feel like I finally kind of found my place and my yarn, and I just love this. I would totally give this a try. I don't feel like it's hard on my hands whatsoever. I feel like it's pretty stringy, like bouncy. I don't feel like it's hard on my hands, like harder on my hands than it would be if I were knitting with a wool yarn. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. But yeah, they have a lot of different colors, so go check out some Cascade Ultra Pima. Lastly, I don't really know what to call this section. Yarn regret? I don't know. I will probably put this on Instagram as well, but a while back, a few months ago, I purchased a sweater quantity of Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino and Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair. This is the Heavy Merino is in the color Sky, and so is the mohair, so it's meant to be paired together. And I was originally going to cast on the tulip loop sweater, pretty sure is what it's called. I'll put a picture of it. I essentially bought the right quantity for my size. I can't remember what size I was gonna knit, but yeah, so I have a whole sweater quantity of this yarn, and I am not going to knit with this yarn. The heavy merino still is just too rustic for me. All of the heavy merino pieces that I have, I've pretty much donated. The only one I've kept, I think, is my book club pullover. And even that one, even when I wear like a full undershirt underneath, just feels itchy to me. I'm still gonna keep it because I absolutely love that sweater and the way it looks, so I will deal with it. But I just don't have it in me to knit a full sweater again in the heavy merino, plus adding mohair, which I am also, it's like also itchy for me. The knitting for olive one is softer, I feel like, than the Sanisgarn one to me, but it's still, yeah, it's still not great. So I'm not really sure what to do. As of now, I'm just like, it's just in my stash, and maybe I'll just keep it and then one day knit the sweater anyways, but I just have a hard time believing that I'll actually wear it, considering I bought white. Don't know what I was thinking. I bought this after having a baby, so it's like, why did I think I would ever wear white again now that I have kids? Because even pre-kids, I would be afraid of wearing white because, and not even just knitwear, but just white in general, because I'm always worried that I'm gonna get it stained or whatever. So I don't have a lot of white in my wardrobe. And I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm thinking of just reselling it to someone. I'm not trying to make a buck, so I'll probably sell it for less than I bought it for, but you know, I don't feel like donating it to Goodwill because this is like expensive yarn, so I do want to get some of my money back. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to ship it internationally. It would have to be somewhere in the US, ideally someone locally. So I might just post it on like my local Facebook group and see if anyone's a knitter and wants to take it off my hands. But yeah, unfortunately, I think I just have to say goodbye to it because I'm just not gonna knit it. And even if I did, it would just be a sweater that I look at and is in my wardrobe, but I just don't need to do that anymore. Like as a knitter now, I feel like, no, we are only knitting pieces that we are going to be using, okay? So that's my yarn regret corner. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see if I decide to post it there. And hopefully someone can take this off my hands. All right, so that is everything for today's episode. A little bit of a longer one, but it's been a while since I filmed, and I've been pretty monogamous with my knitting lately, so I'm not really planning on casting on anything until I finish my Ivy blouse, but it's been flying off my needles because I just always want to work on it, and I knit while we're watching TV every evening, so that's like a good 2-hour chunk usually that I have to knit, and hoping I will knit it up soon so that I can enjoy it before it gets too hot this summer. Anyways, I hope you all are doing well, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.